Police say that they're seeing more younger bloods on the streets and that gang membership is on the rise.
Everybody wants to be popular. Everybody wants that power. Gangs give you a sense of power.
It's not like they have big recruitment drives where come one, come all, here's your free bottle of soda for joining the Bloods. The majority of kids involved in these gangs are just looking for something to connect to.
Many of the older bloods say that these teenagers don't understand what they're signing up for.
I feel they join because they don't have no alternative. They don't have no outlook. They ain't knowing the hood gonna get you caught up.
A lot of these youths out here, you know, they want a gangbang. They don't know what it means to gangbang.
For many of these young bangers, that understanding comes too late.
When they get shot up, they be paralyzed, or they be incarcerated. They wish they would never gangbang.
Stutterbox came to that realization the day he tried to run from a Crip who just fired a bullet through his right eye. An attack that left him permanently blind.
But the guy shot again. When he shot again, he shot me in my back right here, and the bullet went through my stomach and caused me to have a colostomy bag.
Another shot broke his arm in half.
As I was down, he click, 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 but he had no more bullets, and then he ran away.
Stutterbox lay blind and bleeding in the street.
A female, you know, lady, crackhead, whatever you call it. Then she came over and she picked me up, picked my head up off the ground, and got to wiping the blood from my face, and told me it was gonna be all right.
In that moment, Stutterbox turned away from his life as a blood.
But I got 50 seconds. At the bottom, you got blood, and inside the O's, you got P and the B.
When his homie tried to retaliate against the shooter, Stutterbox stopped him.
I didn't want that. I just told him to leave that alone because, you know, you reap what you sow, so I'm just suffering what I reaped out in my days, so I have to respect that. And I'm just fortunate to be here living.
By not seeking revenge, Stutterbox broke with blood tradition. Retaliation was part of the code.
The Bloods are very volatile. They could kill somebody, rob somebody, beat somebody down, and it just comes as part of the culture, the gang culture.
Pasadena, California, 1993. Halloween. In retaliation for the murder of one of their own, a group of Bloods went on a killing spree and attacked a group of innocent teenage boys on their way home Halloween night. Debbie Bush, an employee of the Pasadena PD Forensics Unit, heard the gunshots from her home 6 doors down from the scene.
I knew they were coming from the direction where I last saw the boys, and I took off running. I don't know what I was. I think at that time I was running more as somebody trained in crime scene, because I don't think that I had any idea what I was going to actually encounter.
What she found were 3 dead boys.
I noticed that there was a person, a body that was down there, and I checked the pulse, and I realized that person wasn't alive. And the second body that was on the parkway, I noticed it had a bullet hole in the back of the head type thing.
The second boy was Debbie's 14-year-old son, Stephen.
Stephen's body was right about here. I knew from the clothing that it was him. This is very painful, a lot more painful than I thought. Where I was standing there, there's trick-or-treat candy in the sidewalk and blood-stained pillowcases, all that kind of stuff, you know. So it's not easy, you know. And you figure 15 years, it should be almost 15 years, it should be easy. It's not. It's not.
The incident, known as the Halloween Massacre, drove home how far the war between the Bloods and the Crips had spun out of control.
This whole situation was so surreal to me. You don't think of Halloween candy and blood being two of the same. It shouldn't be.
7 weeks after the attack, police charged 3 leaders of the Bloods with first-degree murder. 2 years later, Lorenzo Newborn, Herbert McLean, and Carl Holmes went to trial. The defendants treated the proceedings like a joke. Every day, Debbie Bush went to court and faced the men accused of killing her son.
It's very numbing, it's very personal, it's very hurtful.
They were very disrespectful to me. They showed pictures of the boys, laughs and jeers. They were just horrible. Their allegiance was to their gang, and they let it be known.
The death penalty shall be inflicted upon you, Mr. McLean.
All 3 were sentenced to death. Debbie Bush still struggles with the loss of her son.
There's a part of my family that's missing, and then there's somebody that's gonna be burying a loved one in the next week due to senseless violence because somebody owes their allegiance to a gang.
Pasadena is still plagued by Bloods. They may be outnumbered elsewhere, but here they are the dominant gang. 95% of the black street gangs in the city are Bloods. Police Sergeant Voskin Gordikian and Officer Sean Dawkins are part of Pasadena's gang unit.
Well, we see everything as far as the crime activity for our Blood gangs. Their crimes range from murder, robberies, carjackings, simple assaults, all types of drug activities. Some of them don't wear anything to display that they're a Blood, but more so what we're seeing in Pasadena is their belts. They wear the nylon type belts that hang real low, some of them all the way down to their knees. So the term is flying their colors, or they're all flamed up because of the red in the belt. And you'll see it also in their shoes, their laces on their shoes. They still use the laces. But bandanas, you don't see that too much hanging out of their pockets anymore.
Whose car is it? That's my car.
Sergeant Gordikian and Officer Dawkins saw this young man and his friends jump out of their car and quickly duck into a store when they spotted police. After a search of the vehicle and a brief interrogation,
was it robbery?
The officers determined the young man had an outstanding warrant.
How about the car? Is the car straight?
Tonight, he was going to jail. The gang unit makes routine stops like this every night.
What caught my attention was the one gentleman had the red baseball cap on, and he had his red sleeves exposed with the black jersey, and that looked kind of odd. It looked like gang attire to me. He eventually admitted to being on probation for robbery. He's got knowledge.
The police try to keep their finger on the pulse of the streets.
Every day is a challenge. I mean, it's us trying to stay on top of them, what the gang's doing, how it's evolving, what new trends they're moving into, what new areas they're moving into.
One new trend holds the key to the future of the Bloods. After years of battle, the Crips may no longer be their worst enemy. It may be the Bloods themselves. In a dispute over stolen drugs, a Blood shot a fellow Blood from a different set. The murder was the latest twist in the violent world of the Bloods.
18th Street, this West Side.
Blood on blood attacks, once forbidden, are on the rise.
It really is a confusing thing when, in this day and age, you have blood on blood fighters.
A new generation of bangers has led to a breakdown of one of the gang's founding principles.
The game has flipped now. We never fought each other. The game has changed. They're more unorganized. The unity is tore up.